Okay, I have completely forgotten how to vlog. This is great. Hello, and welcome to another video. That's not actually what I sound like at all. Okay. I've had this channel for about 6 years, and in that time, a lot has changed. I'm not just talking about like politically and technologically, but in my life specifically. I have gone from being a high school student to an undergraduate to a master's student, and now I am embarking on a PhD. For those watching who don't actually know me, my name's Casey. I just started a PhD at Trinity College Dublin. I am obviously not from Ireland, so this is an experience. When I was an undergraduate and a master's student, I lived at home primarily in Canada with my mom. And so this is my first time living alone, and I'm starting to feel quite overwhelmed by how much my life has changed in the past month. I'm exactly 1 month today into my PhD, and I feel like I have accomplished nothing, to be honest. Literally nothing. I have taken a bunch of books out of the library and started reading them and taking some notes and putting some sticky tabs in them, and that's about it. The thing about doing a PhD is that it's not like taking a master's degree or like doing an undergraduate degree. I have no classes this semester, and next semester I might have one. So I actually don't go to school all that often. I don't go to campus and listen to lectures or attend seminars. I just kind of exist in this apartment with a lot of books. That's my life right now, and I'm extremely overwhelmed by everything. Normally when I film vlogs, or in the past when I have filmed vlogs, because it has been a while, I had this really nice background of all of my books, which I had to leave at home. So now my background is my kitchen in my new apartment, which I'm paying a lot of money for because living in Dublin is expensive. Like many people starting a PhD, I have just moved to a new city, a new country, and in fact a new continent. And being in Europe is different than how I thought it would be. I'm not sure what expectations I had of moving to Europe, but moving to a new country is really hard. Like, not even withstanding the packing, the setting up of utilities and phone bills and Wi-Fi and figuring out how to get a bank account and pay rent. Even just like the bureaucratic stuff of immigration is insanely complicated, and I have not completed that, and I've been here for a month. There is so much paperwork, there is so many little things that you wouldn't even expect to be part of starting a new degree, and they are taking up so much of my life that I feel like I'm spending no time doing what I came here to do, which is research. What is research? Research, as part of an English degree, which is what I'm taking, means reading very broadly in your field, familiarizing yourself with all the scholarship of what's been done already and published in your field, and coming up with an idea of how to add to the existing body of knowledge by creating a new topic, niche, I don't know. I primarily work with James Joyce and Ulysses, and my dissertation is going to be on cross-dressing and gender variance in that text, as well as some other modernist texts maybe. It's still kind of a broad topic. Right now I'm mostly just reading about Joyce scholarship in general, Joyce and gender, Joyce and feminism, Joyce and queer theory, although there's not even a lot of that going on, so I'm kind of breaking new ground a little bit, which is pretty intimidating when I consider that I have taken most of the books out on my topic from the library already, and it is month 1. One of the things I didn't anticipate upon moving here is how much time it would take to get settled and to get kind of into the groove of life in a new country. My one tip so far that I could give someone starting a new degree is to give yourself time to settle in before classes start. I arrived on the second day of orientation week, and I actually missed the international and orientation session because our flight landed on a Tuesday in the middle of orientation week, and we've been playing catch up basically since we got here, and I just feel like I'm already behind and I'm only a month into this degree, which is super stressful. You need to give yourself at least a week or two to like sleep off the jet lag and unpack and figure out where the grocery store is and get a bank account and all of those little essential things that you don't even think about having to establish when you're establishing yourself in a new place. But they're super important, and they're important because they are necessary in order to live your life in this new place that you've started living, and they're also just important to your sanity. I feel like managing mental health and stress is going to be a huge part of undertaking this degree that I wasn't necessarily prepared for. I've been extremely fortunate in being able to move here with my partner. We also have 2 roommates who have 2 dogs, so there are 6 beings living in this very tiny apartment that we are paying out the nose for because Dublin has an extremely bad housing crisis right now. But I'm gonna be alone here most of the time because my roommates and my partner are either working or in school most of the time. So this is my office, this apartment, alone, with the dogs. There's gonna be a lot of me doing independent study alone, reading and writing without a lot of human contact. I don't really have any friends yet. I met a couple of people who I might go out for coffee with once in a while. Hopefully, once I start classes in January, I guess, I'll meet some more people and I'll have more reason to get out of the house and do things. But PhDs are extremely isolating, and I don't think I could have done this without having my partner's support and the support of my friends and family back home cheering me on. But I did think that maybe vlogging about my experiences doing the PhD would be kind of cathartic, and hopefully just talking to whoever's watching this will help me kind of get some things off my chest and maybe help somebody who's thinking about starting a degree or starting a degree and wondering if they're doing okay, because I feel already so much imposter syndrome just being in a PhD program and feeling like I'm not doing anything. But I feel like also your first year of a PhD is supposed to be kind of this flux year where you're reading a lot and really establishing your body of knowledge before you start writing, so you're not really doing anything. I'm paying a lot of tuition to not do anything, but I'm not really doing anything. The last couple of weeks I've spent writing grant applications. I was lucky enough to have my master's degree funded by the Social Science and Humanities Research Council of Canada. Say that 5 times fast. But this degree, I don't have a funding source yet, so I'm paying my own tuition out of pocket, and my savings are going to dwindle pretty quickly. So budgeting's a concern, paying rent is a concern, finding work if it comes to that is a concern. Yeah, so I'm applying for funding, and grant applications are challenging in a really good way. So far there's been a lot of justifying why me, why this project, why now, why here, and doing that is helping me kind of come to terms with why am I doing this, why am I here, why am I choosing this kind of research. But then also there's, you have to provide a timeline of when you're going to be done and an outline of what your dissertation is going to look like, and a real kind of concrete idea of what that dissertation is, what it's going to add to the body of scholarship, and why are you the right person to carry that research out. Preparing my grant applications is really helping me to solidify what I'm doing and to start thinking through an outline of what are my chapters going to be about. At the end of the first 18 months of this degree, I'm going to have a complete outline of what that dissertation is going to look like, a statement about how I'm going to be contributing to the body of knowledge through my degree and why my research is unique. and also a completed chapter. So the next 18 months are working towards writing a single chapter and also planning what I'm going to be writing in the next 18 months, which is the second half of the degree, where you write basically 4 times that much, maybe 5, depends. 4 or 5 chapters long is pretty typical for a PhD of this type, and sometimes 6 or 7 chapters would be acceptable, it depends. But the first 18 months are just writing 1/5 of your degree in half of the degree. So it's like, it seems like I'm doing nothing, but I know that it's going to be an accelerating process where I will be doing more later on. That's more tangible, but the kind of foundations that I'm laying as part of the kind of broad strokes of what I'm establishing here are really important. And doing the grant applications are helping me to kind of envision what the rest of this degree is going to look like. I really hope I get funded, because that would be really helpful to contributing to my subsistence and lowering my stress and letting me do all the wonderful side projects that I have planned to do as part of this degree, like presenting at conferences and publishing articles in journals and teaching and doing all of the things that you want to do as part of your PhD while you're establishing yourself as a researcher and an academic, as someone who might continue in academia, but also as someone who might not. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with my PhD. I might become a lecturer. That would be really nice. I'd like to become a professor and teach people all the things that I'm learning and I'm really excited about. But I could also, work for an academic publication or be a writer full-time. I've written a couple of novels and some short stories and some poems and stuff, but it still doesn't feel like a career yet. It might one day, I don't know. Or I could work as an editor. I like editing, that's something I enjoy doing. But I think the broad strokes of what I'm doing here is I am bettering myself by starting a large-scale project that I hope to eventually publish as a book, and contributing to a field that I'm really passionate about. For the future of this channel, I hope to continue vlogging about what it's like to do a PhD, but then also have some less broad topics like how to apply for funding successfully. Hopefully I'll know more about that in a couple of weeks. Or like how I plan tasks using a bullet journal, doing NaNoWriMo as a PhD student because I'm crazy and might try and do that. What it's like going to conferences, what it's like to publish papers. And of course, what I'd really like to do is continue making my Reviews Day Tuesday videos. When I was an undergraduate, I would post one every week of books that I've recently read and liked and recommend books for people who like to read. And that was a highlight of my week, was being able to share with, the internet what I was reading and what I was excited about. And I don't know how much time I'm going to have to read books that aren't part of my research, but when I do, I'd like to continue making Reviews Day Tuesday videos, maybe not every week, but once in a while, to share some good book reviews and maybe recommend something interesting, whether that's, non-fiction books or fiction books. We'll have to see. I filmed this video twice already because I filmed it first on my iPhone and apparently that had no sound, and so this is my second round. If it publishes, I will be very happy. I still can't quite get used to looking at the camera, which is to my left here, because I'm filming on an iPad on its side right now. So if I'm just kind of staring off in the distance, what I'm actually doing is looking at myself on the display screen, which is kind of unfortunate, but hopefully I'll get used to filming by looking at this little black dot right here. Yeah, so that's it. If you want to hear me talk more about my experience as a PhD student, and maybe get some book reviews or some helpful tips along the way, feel free to subscribe to this channel, although I'm really just doing this for myself as an exercise of getting things off my chest and having some kind of creative outlet outside the PhD, because I know that's important to maintaining a healthy work-life balance, is having some kind of creative output. So maybe having a blog will help that.
Yeah, that's all you can leave.